Hi, good morning, South Central LA and world. Today I wanted to speak about being the best version of yourself for you. And that can mean a lot of things for each and every one of us. But today I wanted to focus on like the need for people always drilling into your head that you need to get an education and that you need to do this, and here are the expectations that we all need to be beholden to. And I just wanted us to take a moment and to take a step back to really just take a moment and give yourself a pat on the back, because what we have to realize is that we make accomplishments every single day, from the smallest act of getting out of bed and going to work to the biggest act of helping one of our close friends and family members. And it's really important to take a step back and not to compare yourself to anyone else. Now, it's okay to have aspirations, to build yourself better, but don't build yourself better for anybody else but yourself. And I'm definitely not saying like, oh, let's stick to the status quo, let's not fight for change. That is a completely different conversation. And with that conversation, like, we can fight for change, push against the status quo. But at the same time, for us, we need to recognize our accomplishments. We don't need anybody to tell us what we've been successful on. Let's, teach our community. Let's teach our generation like what we have done. Let's celebrate present moments. Let's celebrate past moments. Let's work together. Let's work together and build a better future for ourselves. Now, I know that that's easier said than done. But when I say that, it's just like it's time for us to change our own mindsets. And I'm not saying that we've been negative, because we have not been negative. We are not a negative community. We are a really strong community, um, that that has accomplished a lot. And when I say community, I'm not just speaking about the Black community. All marginalized communities, which I think that's a really weird label, marginalized, because we're only marginalized because there's no attention being paid to by from the mainstream. So I think it's really important to look at the value that we bring to our local communities. Once again, from the really small acts to the large acts, and that can mean anything for anybody else. That can mean anything for different people. Everyone has a different lived experience, and it's really important for us to recognize the different lived experiences that each person has and each community has, and recognize the contributions that each and every one of us make every single day. Now, we don't you don't have to be an activist to get out there and make action happen. You can go out there and just help your local community if you have time, and if you don't have time, just think of ways in which you can make a positive impact. Um, Now, going back to being the best version of yourself, I want to just talk about like education. Now, people always say you need to go to college, you need to do this, you need to do that. If college isn't for you, or if, after that, because I would say that for me, like, I graduated from college, education is really important to me. Um, but what education means doesn't necessarily have to come from college. Education can mean you keeping yourself up to date on current events, knowing what your local, state, and federal officials are doing. Education could be you being street smart and knowing how to navigate around your local community. Education can be you building yourself at where you are currently, whether it's a job at McDonald's, whether it's a job at Ralph's, whether it's a construction job. You have to really, be the best version of yourself in that moment. And if that's a fit, and if where you're at is where you want to be, then you are living your best life. You are doing all that you can. And don't let anybody knock you and tell you that, you don't have any value, because you do have value. We all have value. We all bring value to society. And even if you don't work, doesn't mean that you're not valued. I really think it's time for us to change that mindset of the fact that people are only valuable if they're putting out economic output. Um, I mean, I think that's something we should definitely push back on because we have stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home dads, stay-at-home parents. We also have caregivers that are, uplifting their families and providing them support so that those people can go out and be the best version of themselves. And then also going back to the point, just because you're not working doesn't mean that you're not being the best version of yourself. There could be multiple factors to why you're not working, and that can be because you're holding down the fort at home because it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to be a caregiver for a parent. And it's really time for us to really to push back on that and not compare ourselves to other people, not to be like, oh my God, I'm at home helping my mom and I don't have anything else to do. Like if you are happy helping your parent, just be happy helping your parent. But of course, do definitely take some time for some self-care because that's always important to do. Self-care is really important, and you don't want to become a mesh to where you're just focusing on one aspect of your life when there's many aspects. There's many, there's a lot of moments. Basically, there's a lot of parts of your life that you can build to make yourself full. There's a part of you that is taking care of home. There's a part of you with your friends. There's a part of you interacting with your community. There's a part of you at work. And if you don't work, the work is being at home. Like it's up to you to find your value. So don't let anybody tell you how to live your life. Now, of course, be honest with yourself. If you feel that you're not being the best version of you for yourself, then find ways to uplift yourself. Now, that challenge of fighting the status quo can be the thing preventing you from being the best version of yourself. So if that's the case, like fight that status quo. Let's get out there and vote. Challenge your current work environment, especially if it's a negative work environment. Um, if you're in a challenging home situation, really challenging that and pushing up against that and fighting for change. Now, segueing into education before I forget, because I don't want to lose sight of why I came here today, is that if you feel that education is and when I say education, if you feel that getting a formal education is important to you, there is no timeline. You're looking at a career community college student. I went to Los Angeles Valley College, Los Angeles City College. I had to work basically full time, and then also there's moments where I went to school full time as well. But there was a point in time to where in my early 20s, I literally had a nervous breakdown. Like I went because I was managing home, work, school, hanging out with friends, and it was a lot. So what I took from that situation is that I couldn't I had to take a step back and not compare myself like to my counterparts that, oh my God, they've already finished school, they're already in their career. You're gonna get to where you get to as long as you put your mind to it. You literally are. You know, just take a break. It's okay to take a semester off as long as or a year off. That's what I did. As long as you know that you're gonna go back and that you have a plan to push yourself to go back. That's all that really matters is that it takes time. I graduated from high school in 2008. I didn't get my bachelor's degree, until 2018. That is 10 years. And I wouldn't say that's 10 years of wasted time. That's 10 years of me gaining work experience out in the field because I'm a business management major. So I was a supervisor for my last for about 4 years, and now I'm in human resources, and I've been there for about 6 years. So, and before I got my degree, I actually got into HR. So, and not to say that wherever you want to go it may not be where you're at now, but my point is like regardless of like what your major is, just know that you are going to get there. And I would say with my experience within the education field, just being on top of Cal Grant emails, FAFSA emails. I remember one time to where I neglected to read email from the Cal Grant because the college that I went to I believe it was Valley College, they actually told me that I wasn't eligible based on my income. And a few months later, it was basically like it was like May of, I forget what year it was, whatever year it was. It was May when I got the email. I didn't read it again until October, and what the email had said was, if you do not reach out to us soon, you will lose this Cal grant. So I think it's always important to push back on our educational institutions that provide us assistance, because the financial aid office, which is literally the bedrock of of a student's experience, provided me inaccurate information. And what that taught me is that, it's important to read, it's important to push back and ask questions. Don't just rely on like the financial aid office. Reach out to the federal student aid administration. Reach out to the Cal grant administrators to just like really try to understand, like, am I getting all of the financial assistance that I need? So I don't want to go off on a longer tangent, but I just wanted to reiterate that be the best version of yourself for you, recognize your accomplishments, and don't compare yourself to anyone, because we're not here to live our lives for anybody else. We're here to live our lives for us. And it's okay to be a little selfish. Being selfish is totally fine. As long as we're not hurting anybody else, it's okay to focus on you. All right. Have a good day.